So the coping and seething around Concord is massive. You guys already know this. I've been reporting on this for days now. But apparently it's getting much worse. It's getting really bad to the point where now it's been proven, or at least it's being spoken about, I should say, that good old Concord is going to be, and I shit you not, the number I'm about to tell you, it is going to be almost $200 million mega flop for PlayStation.
Put it in!
You're facing the wrong way, sir.
All right, give me the money!
Now, if you guys been watching my streams on Hypnocast every day at 9 p.m. Eastern, you guys will realize that for the last few days, or almost a week now, I've been saying that Concord is going to be equivalent to PlayStation like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is for Warner Brothers, right? So I've been saying that this game is going to be that equivalent level of massive failure, and now we've gotten essentially proof that that is the case. This game is terrible. It really is, and it's getting completely and utterly destroyed to the point where even some of the mainstream shills just do not understand how this is even possible, right? Like, you have Paul Tassi questioning how this game got such little player base. Like, how is this even remotely possible? He can't seem to grasp it in his mind, and none of them could seem to understand. Well, apparently it's going to be so bad that they're going to lose almost $200 million. So let's get into this article, guys, from Yahoo News. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, shill's got a shill. They said, Concord aside, PlayStation's having a great year. All signs point towards the hero shooter being a colossal flop. By all accounts, Concord has landed with a heavy thud. The team-based shooter is one of the scant few new first-party PlayStation games that's coming out this year. Sony released it on both PS5 and PC on August 23rd. The company doesn't typically reveal detailed numbers on its own platforms. However, Steam does. The numbers there are not pretty. And gee, I wonder why. I wonder why all of these big-time studios and big-time developers and companies do not release the numbers to the public. Gee, I wonder why that could be. Could it be that they don't want investors to panic? Could it be that they want to keep lying to investors on investors and earnings calls to make them feel like that they're actually going to be, successful, and try to encourage them to spend even more money and invest more money without people backing out? Yeah, that's something along those lines, right? And again, guys, I've always said it, and I will continue to say it. If a company does not release their numbers, and this goes for anything, TV show views, movies, whatever the case may be, if a company will not release their numbers and tell you exactly how they did, that means they failed, ladies and gentlemen. That absolutely, positively, well, let me not say, let's go with 99%, because there's always that 1%. But that means that they failed, right? Because when they do well, they're going to be super proud, and they're going to tell you they did well. And they're going to use the term viewership. They're going to use the term sales when they're talking about how well they did. They can come out and lie to you like Rings of Power did, and they'll tell you something stupid like, oh yeah, it had 24 million samples. They won't use the word viewers or views because they know they can't, but they'll use something like samples. And then we come to find out that a sample from Amazon counts as a 3-second view or less. So they talked about 24 million samples, but they didn't actually talk about views. So again, they'll sometimes talk about numbers, but they'll try to spin it to look, positive in their own way. But when you have games like this, bro, they're not going to tell you the numbers because it's going to be massively bad for the company and their investors. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to try to spin this somewhere or another. I could only imagine what the next earnings call is going to be like. A Steam player count isn't entirely reflective of a game's success. It is. Can we stop this nonsense? Can we stop? Can we, this is the bullshit that they try to use to shill for a game that they know is bad. They'll try to say, well, it doesn't always mean that way. Yes, it does. We've seen every example of Steam numbers where they try to say, oh, Steam numbers don't matter. And guess what? They mattered, right? They tried to say that with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League when it dropped from 13,500 players to 500. They tried to say, well, it doesn't matter. Steam numbers don't matter. It's a console game mainly. Really? Is that why the game is dead now? I guess it did matter. And then it says, still, it's a key data point from which we can extrapolate some assumptions. In its first weekend, Concord failed to break 700 concurrent players on Steam. That's a dismal figure for a reasonably high-profile launch, especially one from a major publisher. For perspective, Galaxy Burger, an indie cooking sim I've never heard of that came out the same day, had more than 4 times the number of concurrent players on Steam, which is 469, as Concord at 104 at one point on Wednesday. As far as comparison, for a supposed blockbuster from this year, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League peaked at 13,400 simultaneous players on Steam. That co-op game was a notorious flop that led to a $200 million loss for Warner Brothers. Now, you know what's funny to me? There are people that are going to choose to play many different kind of games over actual Concord, right? Concord is such a bad... I'll give you an example. We have a post here from Grums. Look at what this post here. He tweeted Pirate Nation. Company says, come play our DEI game, Concord, right? Gamers say, nope, I would rather have sex with Hitler. Bro, there's a game called Sex with Hitler that has 2001 peak concurrent players. And they rather do that. They rather do that than play Concord. Now, obviously, this game came out almost 2 years ago, but still, the hilarity of it all, that a major AAA PlayStation published video game like Concord couldn't even get anywhere close to a fucking indie game called Sex with Hitler. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life, but hey, shills are gonna show, right? It says, in addition, Concord has amassed 444 reviews on Steam, which also... The reviews are an easy sign of whether or not a game is successful or not. If a game truly has players playing it, there's going to be a ton of reviews on the game. It may not be anywhere close to the actual player numbers, but there's going to be a ton of them. 444 reviews on Steam at the time of writing. Some analysts estimate that each Steam review translates to between 30 to 50 sales. At the upper end of the scale, that would put Concord's volume of sales on Steam around 22,000. We don't have a strong idea of the sales numbers on PlayStation just yet, but as a thought exercise, let's say 3 times as many people have bought Concord on PS5 so far at $40 a pop and a speculative total of 88,000 units sold. That will put Concord's gross revenue at around 3.5 million. That's before the cut that Valve takes of Steam purchases. That would not even remotely come close to covering the development and the marketing costs for a game that took Firewalk Studios, which Sony bought last year. Good job, Sony, you morons. 8 years to make. So yeah, Concord has all the signs of being a massive disaster. There are a bunch of reasons why Concord hasn't just grabbed people's attention. I played a few rounds during the open beta and thought it was so-so. The combat is okay, and some of the core ideas, such as a cool lore-filled map, are interesting, but it felt like there was not enough novelty. Now, again, 2 big issues for me that made Concord a failure, in my opinion. Again, this game is a failure because public perception about the game was extremely negative before it even came out. And you can try to blame the chuds, you could try to blame right-wingers, you could try to blame everybody you possibly can other than yourselves. But the fact of the matter is, the modern audience didn't show up. They just did not show up. And for whatever reason they didn't show up, they didn't show up. I'm going to tell you why they didn't show up. So here you go. Number 1 reason why this game failed, okay? It was marketed divisively, all right? It was an extremely divisive game that was marketed for the modern audience. So guess what? You're going to immediately lose up to 50% or more of potential players by making it a divisive marketing tactic. Number 2 reason why this game has failed. You had an entry fee of $40 when all the other woke-ass video games online are free to play, which means all the broke-ass wokies that don't have jobs, that don't support things monetarily, they couldn't join the game because there's no way for them to spend $40 on that game when they got to spend $40 a week on Starbucks. It's fucking impossible. So you made this game impossible for either side to enter, and now you are left with less than 700 concurrent players. Congratulations, Concord. You played yourself. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.